back from touring out near Vancouver Island and Powell River area, and had some really unique opportunities to get to meet people and talk with them about life, what God has done in our lives, what things they're going through, and yeah, so this is probably going to be a little bit different maybe than what you might be used to. I think
it's actually a real blessing for us to be here on a Sunday morning and attend church, because the last like 4 weeks we've been kind of touring around and playing festivals, and we haven't been able to go to a church, so this is really nice.
Not on purpose, but
not by choice. Not by choice, but
we've been that's one real big difficulty about being a musician is because we're often on the road and often working on the weekends. We don't get to that often be part of a local fellowship. So it is always a big blessing for us when we're able to do this. And just nice to see familiar faces and a whole lot of new faces that we don't recognize. So that's awesome to see that things are growing here. And how would you like to start? We did prepare like a worship song as well, but I don't know if we want to play it at the beginning or later on.
We play it now.
Let's do it. Oh.
Or later.
Let's do it later.
Okay, we'll do it later.
Okay, we'll show you what we do as musicianaries. That'll give you kind of an idea of who we are. Hopefully you won't be as scared. And we'll do some talking as we go through it. But this is a song called Time Stands Still, and it talks about kind of the idea that if you're having a really good time, you're enjoying time, whether that's with friends or family, something like that, maybe your child is sleeping, you just wish it would last a little bit longer, or the time could somehow slow down. And it's just a song to kind of get people engaged. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Smell the coffee perking on the stove. Gosh, it's good to be home. And the sound of kids out playing in the yard warms these old bones. Time stands still, I can never get my fill. Time stands still in the morning. Our house comes alive, but you're still snoring. So honey, I'm just watching, smiling, tired. Missing you each night as I turn out the lights in this smoky motel room. I'll just stare up at the roof, count water stains for a while, and dream about you. Time stands still, I can never get my fill. Time stands still in the morning. When our house comes alive, but you're still snoring. So honey, I'm just watching, smiling, tired. When our house comes alive, I'll just watch and smile. When our house comes alive, I'll just sit and watch and smile. Can you talk again?
Check, check, check. Maybe that's a little bit better.
Yeah, sounds good. Oh, I think... There. Can everyone hear?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's good.
I'll just a little bit this way. Okay. That's kind of a song that we'd use that just kind of talks about life situations. People from many different walks can relate to something along those lines. And this next one, it was a really interesting tour for us recently. We were, as missionaries, we regularly kind of plan on seeing people at least once a year, sometimes twice if it works out, but we like to try and build a long-term relationship with them. And we had a few folks kind of start commenting, we're almost like their long-lost kids. Kind of come once a year. We see them often, sometimes as much as the regular children at Christmas. And we were really looking forward to connecting with a lot of the people that we met on previous tours. And for some reason, many of the people that God put in our path have been going through some pretty hardcore relationship problems. We met one of the hosts who cared for us on this tour. His wife had undiagnosed Lyme disease for 9 years, and she ended up committing suicide, and he had no idea how he would kind of carry on. Some other good friends of ours that we met through church circles, actually, they're currently separated and dealing with addiction problems. And this next song, I guess, it just gets even more and more real and real and real for me, because it talks about relationships and getting into them, maybe getting out of them, somewhere kind of in the awkward in between, or just to heck with relationships, or maybe you even decide to stick it out for the long haul, and that's our plan and our hope and our trust. And I feel pretty confident in that, because many of the folks that we have met, these relationships come out of, or the struggles often come out of a trusting in self, or putting too much trust in the other person. And for Lauren and I, when we decided to get married, we said, well, our biggest focus has to be on Christ, because ultimately we're not putting our trust in each other, because we're going to let each other down. It's bound to happen. But Jesus is the one that is going to be able to sustain our marriage throughout our life. And that's the thing that is sadly missing from so many relationships out there. So this song just kind of talks about loss and some of those unexpected things that happen. But it does also talk about the idea of God's sovereignty, that if you do give it enough time, I think you'll see that many wounds will heal over time. And knowing that God is sovereign over all things, that gives me confidence that it will ultimately be fine. It is going to work out. It's going to be fine. And those are kind of the lyrics in the song. It's called Be Gentle. Gentle with me, I'll be gentle with you. We had a good thing, but now it's clear that we're through. You go your way, I'll go my way, it's true. We'll be fine. Gentle with him, I'll be gentle with her. It's been a few years, we're not the kids we once were. You left for college, and I worked the family farm. We'll be fine. Gentle with yours, I'll be gentle with mine. Heard you had twin boys, I've got a daughter who's 5. One day they'll leave us, they'll grow up right overnight. They'll be fine. Cause the get kind of crazy here. This next song is called Amsterdam. There's a little play on words there, just so everyone knows. And the song's about a traveler who's having a shower in the sink in a train station bathroom. And yeah, a little obscure. Or maybe not so obscure for some folks, who knows. I spent 4 years traveling around the world after high school. I grew up in a Christian home. At different points in my life, I was really happy about that. At other points in my life, I thought, well, it's not such a big deal. But I think, at this point in my life, I think it was really, really a blessing. And my parents did their best to raise me with kind of hopefully a Godward direction. I think sometimes that got blurred out maybe a little bit by moralism. And I'm just freestyling here, and I hope I don't say anything crazy. But I don't know. That was a journey for myself and a lot of my peers. We grew up in a different denomination. It was the CRC, and I love my brothers in that denomination as well. But a common experience for many of us was we had loving parents, a loving church, but many of us, I think, came away from Christian circles more with an understanding of living moralistically rather than understanding the gospel and how we're ultimately unable to live moralistically. You're going to burn out sooner or later because you can't do it. And so that was a big kind of part of my journey. I traveled around the world for 4 years, got into all sorts of interesting things, did all sorts of strange jobs. I was a farmhand, I was a barista at a bazillion different cafes. I got into modeling in Italy, got into acting, I was chopping wood. Very, very strange life. And I think God was really gracious to kind of hem me back in and had this very strange journey of being very moralistic. And then I think I realized, well, this isn't really the gospel, and I got to try and get some balance here. I think I was almost on this legalistic side of things, and I tried to correct that, but doing that mostly on my own strength. I think I had a pendulum experience where I kind of swung a little far into the other side of things with license, taking license to do all sorts of things that don't really line up with what God has actually explicitly said. And so this song is sort of a weird song that kind of also relates to my own journey. A little bit like the prodigal, but there'll be another song later on that'll be the second half of this song. So this one's called Amsterdam. Waiting for a train. Don't remember where I'm from. It's cold and I'm ashamed. I'm the man that I've become. No, I do not look the same. When I look into the mirror, the lonely face looking back at me. This very thing I fear. It's raining in the streets, and I'm in Amsterdam. All the people that I meet tell me you might be Amsterdam. No, I do not look the same. When I look into the mirror, the lonely face looking back at me, this very thing I fear. far I've come. 'Cause life, it ain't no game. Sometimes it's cold and hard and rough. And I've seen my share of pain. And I've caused my share of tears. But the hurt that hides behind these eyes is everything I fear. Now I do not look the same. I cannot recognize behind the mask of shame and pain a greenish, downcast, cloudy, bloodshot eyes. A greenish, downcast, cloudy, bloodshot eyes. A greenish, downcast, cloudy, bloodshot eyes. Yeah, I'm looking at the time here. We've got to really make some hard decisions. What song? I'm thinking we could do Thief. Years from now, from the start, if we hammer very quickly.
Yeah.
We're going to try and squeak 3 songs in here very quickly. So this next song is called Thief. And for me, I think this has also been a big part of my journey. Really kind of revisiting a lot of the things that I learned growing up. Attending the church and going to a Christian school, living in a Christian family, kind of doing many of the Christian things. And this song's called Thief. And I guess I don't really want to tell you what it's about. I want to see if you guys can pick it up. I'll try and sing as clearly as I can. But this would be a bit of a song that we would call a little bit more subversive. So far we tried to play a song that would engage people, get people a little bit curious, interested, like what the heck are these strange people doing playing music over here? Maybe I want to listen to it. I want to do a little bit of storytelling, talking about life experience, things that people can relate to. Maybe there's a little bit of brokenness out there that people are willing to admit. No one will say they're perfect anymore, I think. People are willing to say they're not perfect, but they, don't always see the need. And this would be a little bit more of a subversive song. A lot of folks that we meet on the road, especially when we're touring, tend to relate to that kind of that traveling song. We're all sort of on a journey in life, and it's full of ups and downs. And this would be the next kind of song that we'd try and see if people can relate in a little bit of a deeper way. It's called Thief. Said he came to earth as a man, flesh and bones, water, sand, but all the while deity, Son of Man, King of Kings. He said he grew in favor with God and man in all he did. Then one day he left home to claim his name and take his throne. Who is this man? What did he claim? There's hope for a people who call on his name. They said he taught with authority, the likes of which they'd never seen. Filled with power in word and deed, he calms the heart and stills the seas. From Jerusalem to Calvary, He walks the road prepared for me. Does no one else see the irony? A carpenter hung from a tree. Who is this man? What did he claim? There's hope for a people who call on his name. He said he could forgive my sins. I look at him, beside me, upon a tree, beside me, I am the thief. So, does anyone have a guess what the song's about? Hopefully it's pretty clear. It's kind of a subversive song because it ends kind of in this, a little bit on an awkward note. It's not a resolved note, if you know music theory. I don't know music theory, but I've learned that over time that it's like I want to hear the next one that makes it sound happy again or something. And it just isn't there. So it leaves you kind of with a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling. And sort of in a subversive way, I think, kind of begs the listener, so what do you think about this Christ? Because there were two thieves crucified along with Jesus that day, and they both ended up thinking entirely different things about him, and that made all the difference for all eternity. So that's kind of a little bit of a subversive song. Lauren's going to quickly share a little bit of her testimony, and we might
Super quick.
This might be the fastest we've ever played these songs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stick to the schedule. So
this next song is called Years From Now. Joel wrote it for me before we actually met in person. So the super short version of my testimony and how we met is he became friends with my parents. My parents attended his church one day because they were looking for a new church, and he saw new people and said, "Oh, I'm going to welcome them and get to know them." So he got to know my father, who kind of ended up becoming like a mentor to him, and they would get together every week and pray and read the Bible and talk and chat. And then I think after a few months, he learned that he had a daughter and two sons, me and my two brothers.
Lauren's dad had a daughter and two sons.
And my dad had shared prayer requests with Joel that just to pray for Daniel and Nathan because they're not interested in the gospel, just that they would be more soft. And he also requested prayer for Lauren, me, that he said, well, Lauren says she's a Christian, but we don't see any fruit in her life, so we just asked for prayer for her that she would be convicted. So Joel ended up praying for me, and praying every night and day and kind of throughout the day for, I think, a few months. And it was true that I was calling myself a Christian, but I wasn't living like a Christian. I had no change in my life. I was kind of living how I wanted to live, and I knew about God. I had learned about him in church, but I had no heart change. But over that summer that Joel was praying for me, but at the time I didn't know that. I was just really convicted of my sin, and I was convicted of the way that I was living was not okay. And just convicted to learn worship songs and read my Bible and pray and ask God to teach me how to pray and teach me how to know him. And then me and Joel got in touch. My mom had told me about him and that he was a musician and that he had all this nice music and I should listen to it. So I went on his website and I listened to, there was two songs that really touched my heart and connected with me, and all about God kind of taking your world apart and building you back up to teaching me how to trust him and know him. And so I wrote him. We were writing each other, I think, emails for a month, and then we decided we should meet in person, and it was very clear to both of us that we should be married. So that happened very quickly, and
it's ultimately just a story about answered prayer. Not even just my prayers, but Lauren didn't know there was a whole bunch of people from our church praying for her, and her parents, and myself. and other people had been praying for me, and in this very strange way, God, I think, chose to answer a lot of different prayers by bringing us together. One really cool thing that Lauren missed out there was she actually, when she was living out of Victoria, she did pray that God would bring her a Christian, just one Christian.
Someone who wasn't my parents, someone else.
Girl, guy, doesn't matter. One Christian that could actually help encourage her. And it seemed like only kind of maybe after hindsight. That was just a super cool thing to pray for, because that's a big part of the Christian journey is fellowship and discipleship and encouragement and admonishment and all that. Anyways, we can talk a whole lot more after. We're so behind already. So this one's called Years From Now, and talks about our desire that many, many, many years from now we'll still be going strong, ultimately because our hope is not in ourselves or each other, but in Christ. I'll pack my bags and leave this town. Saying goodbye to my mom and pa, to start a life in a foreign land with the one I love. And years from now we'll be sitting in the kitchen talking over coffee while playing footsies down below. Still kiss each other softly, ladies in the bed sheets. I'm in a love unbreakable. She walks with grace and speaks in song. She laughs with joy at the times to come. I asked her folks for her marriage, and she's the one I love. Sitting in the kitchen, talking over coffee while playing footsies down below. As we grow old, we'll still kiss each other softly, ladies in the bed sheets, bound in a love unbreakable. Storms will come and winds will blow. Down below. As we grow old, we'll still kiss each other softly, ladies in the bed sheets, bound in a love unbreakable. Bound in a love unbreakable. So this will be our last song, and we're begging for forgiveness from Pastor Robert for going over time. We hope we can do this one. Is that okay?
Can we do one more song?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
We're just over the time. We're looking at the clock, so.
You'd be a good negotiator, right? You put out an offer and they don't respond. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is awkward. I gotta say something again. You should get him to buy your house if you in the future.
I'm half deaf.
Okay. It's all the rock and roll. Well, this song is called From the Start, and it's really a song just about the prodigal. It's about someone who's gone through this kind of journey in life, maybe some ups and downs, maybe some really, really dark times, and they finally realized, if you're familiar with the story of the prodigal son, that they left something back there long ago that was the best thing that they ever had in life, and that's a relationship with the Father ultimately. And The song is about that. It's about that idea. And I think for both of us, we have been prodigals in our own ways. And probably each one of you, if you're a believer here, you have probably recognized you've been a prodigal in one way or another. And the song just kind of talks about that idea, about returning back to a place where there's safety and a sense of love and acceptance, and ultimately just belonging, just as we do belong to the Father through the Son and to each other. It's called From the Start. You can feel free to sing along if you'd like, but love that. It's really easy. So it is a worship song, actually. I see sunrise in the horizon. It's a welcome sight for this wayward soul. I've been driving through the dark nights, but now I'm coming home. Home is where the heart is. You've always had mine from the start. I don't want to live a moment longer apart. It's a song actually from the prodigal's point of view. Well, I see smoke rise up in my rear view, clouding up them Alberta skies. It's from the trials by fire that I've been through, but somehow I survived. Somehow. If home is where the heart is, you've always had mine from the start. I don't want to live a moment longer apart. I smell sweet grass and canola. It conjures up days of innocence, like riding to the creamery down the main street when we were kids. Home is where the heart is. You've always had mine from the start. I don't want to live a moment longer apart. Home is where the heart is. You've always had mine from the start. I don't want to live a moment longer apart.
Well, we're going to let the kids go off